pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, these things idle at almost what a Winston Cup car turns wide open. I think they idle at about 7,000 RPMs, don't they?
Yeah, in the pit stops, you want to get the thing to tick over at about 10,000 RPM to keep the hydraulic pump working well, because the hydraulics control the throttle mechanism. It also controls the gear selector mechanisms as well. It's the same system that used to control the active suspension, but of course that's been banned by the FIA. But you need to keep the revs up in the pit stop so the hydraulics work. Otherwise, you click and the clutch fails on you.
Now, you open the door, I'm going to walk through it. You mentioned pit stops. We're not going to see a pit stop here today, but I've always been jealous of a Formula One pit stop. When we have a Winston Cup pit stop, we had 7 guys. No more. At a Formula One pit stop, it looks like a large family reunion when they go to service that car.
An average of about 17 people.
Only 17?
17 to 18 people take part.
You got to practice just to stay out of each other's way on a Formula One pit stop.
Yeah, it can get a little bit crowded down there, but about 17 to 18 people. Remember, you've got 3 people on each corner. You've got 2 to 3 guys doing the refueling. Front jack, rear jack, lollipop guy controlling the whole thing, and somebody else normally trying to keep the car stable by holding the roll hoop when it's on the jack. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of synchronized work.
Do you understand anything he talked about, roll hoop or anything?
A little bit. I've done some Formula One.
Now, and already you can see the difference, I think, already with Jeff. Much more on the pace. I mean, he's still going well under race pace, but he looked down there, the confidence is building already.
And this would be one of the few Formula One tracks, Steve, that you guys go to where there's no really elevation changes. Most of your tracks have elevation changes.
Yeah, there are a lot of elevation changes. I mean, certainly the great circuits like Spa, for example, is very uphill and down dale. This very flat, of course, the F1 infield section built right in the inside of the oval. But technically speaking, I find this track a lot of fun because you've got that great contrast between the long straightaway section that we just saw now, and as we come to the end of the short back straight, the Horman Boulevard, now back into the tight infield section again. So there is your classic example of what you do when you come off the straight to set the car up for the tight infield section. You've got to get the downforce on the car to make the car stick to the track going round the corners. You want to get the downforce off the car for the long straight. It's got to be a compromise because you cannot adjust the wings once the car's moving.
Just last week at Pocono, your partner DW said, no matter how long you do this, Larry, you always learn something new. And I can remember, Steve, when we did the first Formula One Grand Prix here in Indianapolis, these teams with their hundreds of millions of dollars in budget, and all the computer simulations and the wind tunnel work that goes on 24/7, they came here with a setup that proved to be quite a bit off the mark from what they needed.
Yeah. This is the problem right here, this long, long front straight down into turn 1. I was going to see Jeff now hit the brakes. You want to maximize, optimize the straight line speed down there, like you're saying, 200, 215 miles an hour, but you want the downforce on the car here. So what do? You've got to compromise. Well, Ferrari found that they were going faster, Bob, in that first race by taking wing off the car, maximizing that straight speed down the straight. BAR found they were working exactly the opposite direction. Villeneuve saying the more wing we put on, the more stable the car became. The lap time dropped again. So right, different ends of the spectrum.
Seeing a little vibration from our onboard cameras. We're not using the FIA, well, we're using their mounts, but we have our own onboard cameras, and you can see that vibration from these incredible engine revs. That's probably pretty much what the driver's eyeballs are doing as well. Let's get down to Ralph Shaheen.
Well, we're down here with Juan Montoya, who's got some of Jeff Gordon's crew behind him here. You're watching on the big screen. What do you think, Juan?
I think it's pretty good. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. To get, he's seen the pace pretty quickly, and the cars are pretty tough to drive, and he looks quite comfortable in it. It's really amazing. Never been in a Formula 1 car, and he's doing really good.
We saw him go off in the one corner, and the guys in the booth were talking about how difficult it is to figure out the turning areas of the racetrack and how to set the car up for that. How difficult is it to, when you first get in the car, to acclimatize yourself to that and to the racetrack itself, as we've seen with Jeff?
It wasn't that difficult. It was a lot of fun, and it, just the car is so good, that it's very predictable and everything. It's just so much fun.
What's going to be the toughest thing for him in this car?
Braking, to really get to the braking point, because he told me you got to brake like into 250. In the F1 we brake about the 50.
How long did it take you to get acclimatized to the braking then?
No, it's a bit weird because you brake and it's like when the F1, when you lift, because so much down for the cars go, then when you lift, you lose so much speed that it's like just lifting. It's like when you're trying to slow down the car quick enough to make the corner. It's pretty exciting.
All right, Bob, everybody watching the big monitor.
I'll bet they are. Welcome back live to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We just got a fist pump out of the Williams BMW from Jeff Gordon as We welcome you back to Trading Paint. Jeff Gordon and Juan Pablo Montoya trading race cars. Is this a publicity stunt? You bet it is. And we hope you've got your tickets for the 10th Brickyard 400 coming up the weekend of August 3rd and the 4th U.S. Grand Prix at Indianapolis the weekend of September 28th. There's the phone number, 1-800-822-INDY, I-N-D-Y, to get your tickets.
Is this kid having fun or what?
Oh, boy, he is impressive. It's Jeff Gordon. I mean, we should expect this. But boy, oh boy, he has taken to this like a veteran.
I was asking the mechanics how comfortable Jeff was in the car, because it's normal procedure for a new driver to have a new carbon fiber seat mate molded to his contours of his backside and his back to make sure he's absolutely 100% comfortable. Larry, how much seat fitting goes off in the Cup Car Championship? I'm talking about the comparison because the mechanic said straight away Jeff was fine. We gave him one of Montoya's seats. He didn't complain. We said that was fine. How was the pedal positions? He said he was comfortable. We didn't adjust them for him. I said, did you give him the option? We never said anything to him. He was comfortable. We walked away from him. Said it was fine.
Well, there's a lot of work that goes into the cockpit of a Winston Cup car, because what you have to remember, they're in there for 400- and 500-mile races, 3.5, 4 hours. And, of course, over the last 2 years, we've seen so many safety innovations put them in that cocoon, as we call it, with the headrest and the head neck restraint devices. A lot of things have come along just in the last 2 years.
Let's get down to Ralph.
Well, I know he doesn't want to crawl out of there any sooner than he has to. He's debriefing with his own crew chief. Okay, what'd you think?
Oh, my God. That is the most incredible experience I've ever had in my life. It was so different and unique at the beginning. I actually, it looked like I went in too deep into that one corner, went in the grass, but I actually didn't go in deep enough, or I didn't get on the brakes hard enough, and I jabbed the brakes, and the back end just turned on me. So, just learning to use the curbs and how much you can get on the throttle. I mean, that traction control is a beautiful thing. So how much we'd love to have that over in our actually, through the fast corners, amazing how much grip it had. I mean, the G-forces that my head took, unbelievable. On braking, I could feel me get lightheaded because so much blood rushed to the front of my head. I'd never experienced that before, but when you learn how the traction control works, you can just lay in the throttle so hard. And the only other problem I had is that, they tricked me. They've got it where it automatically goes up in gear, but I have to manually do it down in gear. So I'm so used to it going up in gears, I'd like, oh, I forgot I got a downshift.